Hello and welcome to another Dragonstorm Studios video. And today we're going to work a little bit more with drawing folds in fabric. So in the last video we drew all sorts of capes and folds of clothing. And today we're going to look at mostly the arm when it comes to the details on cloth. So I've drawn a hoodie here. You can see that I began with my basic human sort of shape. It's like a skeletal design. I also, you'll hopefully be able to see as well that it wasn't perfect the first time. I went through a couple of variations, and that's an important thing to keep in mind. Like, nothing in art is always done 100% the first time. I mean, it does happen, I suppose, but it's very rare that a drawing that I do turns out perfect on the first attempt through the conception process. It's something which takes time. I will develop with you as well. So keep that in mind, that even someone who's fairly confident with their artwork can still go through variations and change, and the ideas can evolve over time. Anyways, when it comes to drawing clothing, I'm the hoodie in particular here, I tend to think of triangles. So I'll draw in just some guidelines for myself, and they'll be very much triangular. You'll have lots of little areas that kind of crisscross and form triangles as a result. And the important thing to keep in mind when drawing any kind of folds in clothing is that as you shift, as you change your position in the clothes, the folds are going to change too. So you don't have to end up with a perfect rendition of what you see if you're looking off of a reference picture. It's important to keep in mind that these sorts of references are just there to help get you started. It's not the end of the world if maybe they don't look 100% like your reference picture, because as the subject changes and as the subject begins to move and evolve in their position, so too will these folds adjust here and there as well. As long as you start thinking of light and dark, you'll end up, I think, with a good end result. So now that I've got some kind of basic guidelines for myself, I'm going to start going in and just adding in some shadows where those triangles kind of meet in points. So you're going to end up with bunches of clothing, and that's where the dark areas will be. And that will really start to let me know and inform the art that there's lots of bunches up, or bunching, I guess, of the folds, which is happening. And as I start adding more and more of those, it starts to look more and more impressive as a result. So I'll come back in a moment and we'll take a look and see how that is turning out. And I've switched to my blending stump so that I'm just smoothing out these areas of dark and also creating some grayscale as well. You're not going to just get whites and darks. I've also left lots of white areas, and you kind of end up making these V shapes out of them, because once again, you're going to end up with areas where the light's hitting the fabric more directly. And if this was, let's say, a blue or dark green hoodie, then I might have to darken all of those a little bit. But let's assume this is a light gray hoodie, so that the light areas really do show up nicer here and there. And you can really see the results of that. It kind of just gives it a bit more of a more natural sense to it. If it was just black and white, it would lose some of that realism here and there. But just by smoothing out these areas, and also thinking of where the light is. If light's coming from above, you're going to have more dark down here. And that kind of just helps, again, define our light source and adding some more realism here and there to the work. So I'm going to just finish up this arm and maybe this part of the hoodie, and that will finish it for today. Okay, so the right hand side of the hoodie is looking pretty good at this point. One thing I forgot to mention as I was working is you want to make sure you get rid of your guidelines, at least on the inside of the arm, before you start adding the shading. One of the worst things in the world is trying to erase things which have already been shaded and try to redo the shading to get to match what you had before. So that's really important, an important part, at least in the inner part of the arm, not so much this outside I'm erasing now. Other than that, I mean, it's just a matter of light and dark, and so many of my videos end up with me just saying that. It really does make such a big difference. And again, the blending stomp is such an easy tool to use for that. So I'm going to finish up this drawing. So I'll post a picture of what it ends up looking like right here. And I hope you found that video to be helpful. Maybe you try your own version of this. It's amazing what a difference detail makes in a picture. And it can just really add so much to the overall image. So please feel free to shoot me a like, subscribe, share it with your friends if you think they would enjoy it, and have yourselves a fantastic day.